Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Talking Skritt. I'm your host John, better known as Dale Roniak's been a fantastic show for you. An upcoming WvW Mount causes a stir, a brand new balance patch next week, and layoffs at ArenaNet, and much more. But first, let me introduce you to my fellow hosts. He is a moderator over at MMO Champion and host of Zero to Hero and also Vote to Kick on this very channel. People's reactions to the WvW announcement makes it feel kind of criminal to the very nature of WvW, but he will help us see if it will walk the talk and be awesome. Say hello to Jim.
I just want my giant angry cat thing. And maybe it'll make me enjoy WvW. So
Ooh. We'll talk all about the possibilities of it here shortly. But he streams over on Twitch where he answers the age-old question. Is he ready for the deletion of Thief with the next balance update? Say hello to Age.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. ArenaNet's gonna nerf Thief again.
Yes! Nerf it to
My
the ground.
backstabs are slowly creeping.
Can we get Disturbed to actually sing that version? That would be amazing.
That would be
Hi, guys.
awesome.
You know what?
Hey, Net.
If they do nerf Thief enough, I'll make that song.
Yay! Keep nerfing Thief. Remove it
I
from
was
the
gonna say,
game.
I've been joking about nerfing Thief, but I want that to happen, the song to happen. So, hey, Net, I mean,
This is a bonus.
yeah.
Make it happen.
And also,
It's just like,
Yeah.
what just happened?
you did it, Age. And she's an editor at Guildmag, writes for MMORPG.com and also her own site, MMORly.com. After this roller coaster of a week, I wonder if her roar has waned. Say hello to Robin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it.
Yeah. It's been a week already.
Yeah. It feels like it's been longer than a week, and that's on this side. Like, I
Right.
can't even imagine. And that wasn't even at the beginning of the week. But if you guys don't know what we're talking about, the first biggest topic, and I'll kind of say this outright just even for the YouTube recording as well, we're going to try to explore all sides that people brought up, and we're going to try to avoid name calling of people or like stuff like that. We're going to try to stick to the facts or something like that. So if chat can do that as well, we'd greatly appreciate it, but we do understand everybody's human. And the reason I'm going into that is because this past week, literally just a couple days ago when we started on Saturday when we were streaming this, ArenaNet got the announcement that they were to be expecting some layoffs. And I kind of say that because it's almost along the same lines as I think how a lot of people at Blizzard Activision found out their layoffs was. It was basically through articles. Like, it wasn't.
So so the thing with the Blizzard Activision thing was that was during an investor call that they're like, yeah, we're doing layoffs, which I'm sorry, but that's an exceptionally shitty way to do it. Like, all
True.
around.
What I'm saying is, even in this case, they said that staff were getting an email, but from the reactions of it, it doesn't
Right.
seem like that email went to at least everybody or
In
whoever
this
these
case,
few.
it sounds like somebody leaked more or less to a journalist and they published it. So then, which there's we could talk about a whole thing there, but
Yeah. Which, maybe if there's time, but this is a
Mhm.
pretty heavy thing. Maybe that could be a vote to kick topic. I feel wrong plugging in this part.
I don't want to get into economics and how corporations act, because that'll just be me ranting for
Right.
half an hour. I don't want to do that.
People might want to see that.
I might have to drink for that one.
Anyway, well, we'll figure that out on the back end and stuff like that, and expect it maybe sometime down the road. But yeah, going back to like we said, Kotaku I think first broke the news, and then
Yeah.
lots of other places kind of followed with it. But yeah, so apparently there was going to be layoffs at ArenaNet, and according to Games Industry, employees got an email from NCSoft CEO Song Yi Yoon, and it's kind of read as our live games business revenue is declining as their franchises age, and delays in PC and mobile development have created further drains against our revenue projects, while our operation costs in the West have increased. Where we are is not sustainable and is not going to set us up for future success. So the email goes on to say about cutting costs and restructuring the entirety of ArenaNet, and would merge ArenaNet's publishing division with NCSoft's. And like I said, this is kind of all hitting, and I couldn't even imagine for like the people, the staff at ArenaNet that are basically hearing this probably through Twitter, and it's like, you know, hearing about, a lot of them were saying like, you know, we appreciate all the, you know, are you okay, is your job okay type things, but you know, them hearing it like within the first couple hours. But
yeah, it was interesting, especially the publishing divisions merging, because for those who didn't know, ArenaNet was actually
self-publishing.
Yeah, so NCSoft did handle it for Guild Wars 1, and then they split off. Now it seems like they're joining up again.
Yeah, I remember covering that when they split to publishing Guild Wars 2 by themselves, like on the show.
Yeah,
so it hasn't been that long.
Been a few years. So in addition to what Deo said, ArenaNet also put out a statement saying that they confirmed that due to the cancellation of unannounced projects, ArenaNet will make staff reductions. It's part of a larger organizational restructuring with NCSoft in the West, but Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2 services will not be affected, nor any upcoming game content created. So like with all of that together, my interpretation is it may not just be exclusively people who are working on those unannounced projects, but I feel like it's likely that those will probably be the bulk of the layoffs, the people who are working on those things and can't be like, and there's no room to transition them to other teams, you know, if that makes sense. Because like if those projects don't exist now, then like you don't have anything for those people to do.
I'm seeing a sentiment in chat, guys. I don't think this is Guild Wars 2 maintenance mode. This is
if that is the probably eventually the future for any game, really. But
we're not there
I don't
yet.
think that's good. Yeah, that's not it. It's you know, I see chat saying, could this be the last balance patch ever? It wouldn't happen that fast. It didn't happen that fast with WildStar. Like,
I mean, they just did an update to Guild Wars 1 for all things, like Jesus. But
I think it is important to note that it just really didn't seem like anyone at ArenaNet knew about it until this drop.
Right.
Because a lot of people were even saying, like, I think it was last week or the week before, where when the Blizzard Activision thing happened, they were even saying, hey, we're hiring, you know, these types of people.
Literally last week, yeah.
Yeah, so it really doesn't. Guild Wars 3 mains mode. Okay, that might be more likely because I don't think Guild Wars 3 is really it might be being thrown around.
Maybe they were working on Guild Wars 3 and that was one of the canceled projects.
True, maybe it was that mobile one. Well, because they were looking for developers that were experienced with mobile stuff, and I don't know if they got those people or not, but if that is one of the secret side projects. Yeah, if it was one of their secret side projects, it could be one of the things that's...
Yeah, my assumption is whatever they were working on mobile is one of the canceled projects. For whatever reason, it wasn't working out and they felt they needed to cancel it. This is how everything is read to me.
So. I don't think, and guys, I don't think they would have canceled Guild Wars 3. Like, I don't think NCSoft would direct them to do that, because
that was a joke.
We've looked at all of the earnings reports. We've looked at the earnings reports every time it's come out for the history of the show. Every single time there was an expansion, huge bump in profits.
Yeah,
gigantic. They wouldn't cancel Guild Wars. They wouldn't cancel an expansion. They wouldn't cancel a Guild Wars 3.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are probably pointing to, and we talked about last week, the last quarter, like the fourth quarter of 2018 was one of their lowest quarters of the year, maybe even some other, it was a pretty low quarter. But when you looked at it on the whole for the year, which that's how a lot of companies function, is yearly profit.
Mhm.
it only went down by whatever it is,
a little bit.
yeah, Korean million won, which does sound like a lot. Which yes, it is, but it's not as much as what it sounds like.
But it's also
Percentage-wise.
to be expected in a quarter where like they haven't had like an expansion or any big profit generating thing. Like that's completely
That and like
expected.
fourth quarter, how many holidays are in fourth quarter?
Right.
So how many people are away from their computer doing things with family and friends?
Right.
And all
How
that?
many people who would normally buy gems to buy things were busy buying other things? Like, you know.
Yeah,
Not me.
you're one of the good ones, Age.
I did all
Yeah.
the things.
I think that one of the reasons why it's hitting like everybody there and so many of us in the community so hard is, I could be wrong, but this at the very least is the first time I've heard of ArenaNet doing layoffs, and they've always kind of presented themselves as they view the company as a family from the very beginning when they started, and there was just 3 of them growing to like the 400 some odd company they have. They've tried to grow slowly over the years in sustainable ways so they wouldn't have to do stuff like this. So the fact that it's happening like now, while it is kind of a normal thing in the game industry as a whole, it hasn't been a normal thing at ArenaNet.
And I do see chat saying if they did pull a lot of people off to work on an unannounced XPack, that is bad. Now, from a development standpoint, I think they might have learned their lesson with Hot, because that was
Right.
one of their big things that they did pull a lot off. But I think that was because that was their first punch into like, this is what you should expect
And they
from
were
the
still
expansions.
trying to figure out what an expansion meant for Guild Wars 2 at that point. Because if you also remember, back in the beginning of Guild Wars 2, expansions were never part of the plan. Their whole plan was that they could update and continue the story without doing expansions. So
Yeah.
doing Hot was like a total change of direction. And it makes sense why they pulled so many people off on it, but I don't think they would go the same route, especially early in the development of something at this point.
Though, Chad, if you're talking about an unannounced XPack, as in the sense of like we were talking about how they were saying unannounced projects, or that would fall under the Guild Wars 2 things of like planning. So that I would imagine wouldn't be one of those things that's suspected to be on the chopping block in that sense, because that's still planning for Guild Wars 2, which they said that they're going to try to keep that as intact as possible. At least the way I've been reading it. But you were going to say something, Jim? Or
I was just going to point out for Sapdan, I don't think this is the fault of ANET management. It's not. If it was ANET's fault for these layoffs, then it wouldn't be NC Soft saying all of their properties are going through a restructuring. Right. They would have said ArenaNet.
It's basically like, you have to remember that they said they had many unannounced projects they were working on, which have been canceled, and that's the reason for the layoffs. I feel like that's a key component to all of this. It's not an issue with Guild Wars 2 itself. It's the fact that they were working on all of these other unannounced projects, whatever they were, we don't know because they were unannounced. And they had to pull people off from that. Like
that, and since NCSoft is the parent company, large scale projects would have needed NCSoft approval to happen in the first place.
Right.
So it's not like NCSoft just kind of hands the money and says, do stuff. ArenaNet has to be like, hey, we want to do this thing. And then they just kind of have to, they have to wait for NCSoft to be like, yeah, that looks profitable. Do that thing. That's how parent companies work. So it's not really anything at fault for ArenaNet at this point.
I'm not sure about the theory that people were pulled off of Guild Wars 2 to put on these projects, because they've been hiring like mad for the last 2 years. There have always been lots and lots of jobs up on their site, and they've been hiring over and over. Yeah. So, I mean, sure, you can believe that they were pulling lots of people off of Guild Wars 2 to work on these things, whatever, but without some kind of proof, it's just wild speculation.
Yeah, that and
speculation.
And NCSoft publishing Guild Wars 2, that doesn't mean that they have any more say in the development of the game than they previously did.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's kind of funny how, people are saying, like you said, worried about NCSoft like starting to publish. Well, they were originally, which I kind of find it funny that I've seen the same people say that are also talking about it was great before HOT. You mean when NCSoft was publishing?
Right, because they took over the self-publishing after HOT. Like,
I think somewhere right around there, but yeah, I don't remember the exact date.
I think it was after the big like restructuring of HOT map rewards, the April patch at the very beginning of HOT. So
September 1st, 2015.
Okay. I can't
So-
remember.
That's right around when HOT went.
Yeah, so
I was wrong.
I don't remember if it was before or after because I don't remember which month that it launched in. But or wait, was 2015 the year with no updates while they were working on it? Or
I was like, kind of all blend
Timing.
together.
It's all a blur now.
oh my god,
But I'm just trying to go back into what chat is saying and stuff. Really like yeah, because I'm kind of curious. I see chat saying just wait a second, think what was designed wrong after POF, and there it is. I would like to hear chat's list of what they think is wrong with POF
Right.
and afterwards compared to HOT and what followed. But
what we were saying about timing. So they took over self-publishing of September 2015. HOT launched in October 23rd of 2015. So that's your timing on that.
okay.
So the entire time that they've actually put out expansions, not been working on them, obviously, but putting out the expansions and the redirect with POF and all of that. And also, everybody remember, like, everybody saying HOT was great. Like, when it launched, a lot of people were pissed off about HOT and didn't like a lot of things about it. And they went back and they made adjustment and fixed it. And a lot of those adjustments are what people love now.
I still really liked it on launch, but that's
I did too.
I enjoyed the fact that like you actually had to pay attention to things around you because otherwise the
too.
jungle would kill you. But
Yep.
Dennis, I just want to run around and do what I want and press 1.
And before we get into a HOT versus POF debate, I mean, I like both. I like them for what they both bring to the table.
Right. They're
I think they
very
both
different.
swung in different directions too far. If they could find a
Right.
balance map wise, because I know that's always a big sticking point,
Mhm.
then I would be. But yeah, but we've talked about that plenty of times in the past.
Right.
And to go back to what chat was saying, do you remember when NCSoft were publishing Guild Wars franchises? Yes, a lot more things in the loot boxes. A lot more things towards monetization, to be fair.
Back in Guild Wars 1, I haven't bought anything besides like in their cash shop or anything like that. I've just only bought the expansions, and I got the bonus mission pack with one of the things I bought.
Well, I'm talking mostly about Guild Wars 2. I mean,
for Guild Wars 2,
because they had that's when that's really when games really started to monetize on top of, like, when Guild Wars 1 came out, that wasn't really an idea except for maybe the mobile market, but that was even probably like a small.
I do want to address this Path of Fire versus Heart of Thorns argument going on in chat. They're two wildly different things here. They are completely designed completely differently. It's very difficult to compare, apples to apples on these two. So everything that's coming up in chat that y'all are saying that you like and that you think it makes one expansion better than the other, it's all personal taste. So there's no real metric to say this one was better.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like the design of POF maps, but I also like metas and HOT. I like, I can see that from a perspective. There are some things that are similar, some things that are different.
Well,
I don't want to.
POF mats were really designed to bring back the original feeling people had in the original maps of like the exploration and wandering around and discovering stuff. And there is a lot to find and discover in those maps, like a ridiculous amount to do in them. You just have to look for them.
I feel like when it comes to POF, I do like the exploration bit. But I feel like it doesn't compare to like when the game came out, when there was like so much to explore and discover. I like POF gave you a little taste of that coming. Like it's like, oh, this is fun. This is good stuff.
Yeah.
And there's probably spots I haven't been to that people have discovered.
Yeah. Well, I'm also, from what I've seen watching the community and things that people have posted about finding in the POF mats, I think there's still things out there in those maps that people haven't found yet. Like waiting to
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Kitty.
Like I saw POF as single player. It's like the game has gone to a more single player aspect as time goes on.
It's much more like the original launch of Guild Wars 2 in the map design.
Yeah. And that's what they were going for with the POF maps, because that was one of the biggest complaints against HOT when it launched, was that it was too much of a departure from what everybody loved about Guild Wars 2. It changed the feel of what it was like to be in a map and be running around. So they took that message that they got shouted at like day after day after day, week after week after week, that HOT was terrible because of all of these things. They took that to heart, and they tried to iterate on it and make it more like what people said they wanted. But again, like, it's always a problem with the people being super vocal or always just one part of the community, and they don't
once one side's happy, they get quiet, and then the other side, it's like, oh, now everybody's shut. It's like, so they don't hear equal representation all the time. It's like,
yeah.
But like they're saying, the POF catered to like the single player experience. I wouldn't just say POF. MMOs in general. I'm sorry for people to hear this, but the MMO industry, I feel like the bubble has burst. Like, we're not going to really get that many new ones except for through Kickstarters or stuff like that. And going back to the niche crowd where they're not going to have, a cater to all the mentalities of like World v World, PvP, and like they're gonna have to go back to the niche stuff because of probably funding and stuff like that. But
well, like,
yeah, we're no longer in the bubble. I mean, WoW has moved more towards the less communication between a team.
Well, it's also like building a game to be all things to players. Like, that be the game that you go for every kind of gameplay that you could want. That's a huge ask. Like, that's just money wise, time wise, development time wise, that's huge. And games in general are much better in execution when they pick a few things to focus on and really develop those and work those out and be like, this is why people will play our game, and focus on that instead of trying to do all the things.
Yeah, because it got to a point where, well, the original MMO design was a lot more focused on spending hours and hours in the game. So you kind of had to have that breadth of activity in order to keep people in the seat, so to speak. But I sidetracked this by doing my sidebar on the POF versus HOT. Chances of future XPAC, I think they're high.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're already probably working on one or have some kind of ideas for it. Like, I would just say for now, you can assume that like all the projects that you would assume that would come with Guild Wars 2, like Living World, the Orbital Sword Alliance thing, balance patches, all that stuff, and like future content like expansions, I feel like that is safe. The other projects are things that we honestly don't know about, like that mobile thing. Like,
oh God, what if one of the unannounced projects was they were trying to build templates work in game?
I doubt that, because they said no.
It was going to be a mobile phone app. No.
A mobile phone app of build templates. Oh my God. Anyway, sorry.
But
There's not going to be an X pack like right now, honestly, because
No.
they said that.
They
And
said
this
that
was
months ago.
Yeah, people
like-
are bringing that up like they're going straight into season 5. We knew it. Like it's like, yeah, they told us that. I think on the first episode, like
Mike Z
season
made
4.
the announcement. Like there was a full-on blog post where he's just like, "Yeah, we're rolling right from 4 to 5."
Yeah. And
Right.
I honestly don't think another set of elite specs will make this game any better balanced.
Right. Like I don't, it's not that I don't want there to ever be another expansion, but I want them to slow down the pace, which is why I'm glad we're skipping an expansion right now, because like I feel like we are quickly reaching a point of like just insanity with the elite specs. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
already crazy.
Wait, let me see if I can get some rage in chat. Mesmers in PvP.
Well, no, but
honestly-
I'm curious. A lot of people are saying there won't be an expansion anymore. Anymore. Have they said that? Which please give us
No.
feel free to give us a link, or what's your logic behind it? I mean, I like how we're not there. It's possibly not making enough money, so we have to lay people off. So we're not going to do the thing that generates money.
Yeah, the most money. Like if they were really hurting, like we need to get money now, they would be rushing to push out another expansion as soon as possible, because that always generates a lot of sales. It does that with any MMO. Every single time you put out an expansion, it doesn't matter how terrible the expansion is, it generates a ton of money.
Are you speaking from experience from WoW, or?
Oh yeah, no, like their expansions are always amazing and wonderful and great.
Oh, chat is saying Mike Z
their
said
community wonderfully.
Chat said Mike Z said they focus on living world with expansion features. They've said that from the beginning. They said that when they were switching to more of the living world seasons from season 2.
It's more like if they make an expansion now, it's going to be very different from what Hearthstone's or Pathfire has, I think.
Right.
Because I feel like they need to figure out an expansion of content to give us that will not break the game in terms of balance, will give people like new maps to explore with and feel content about it, will give world versus world players possibly some stuff to get through, or maybe that'll just be a regular cadence thing. There's a lot of things to factor into that. I don't know.
Sorry, chat, like hijacked what I was thinking about saying to you, Age. I had a whole thought and then I went, blur.
It's okay. It'll come back up later when we're talking about something else.
Right. And they'll be like, ah.
But generally speaking, this whole thing, like they canceled the Friday stream because of it. Like the whole okay.
This kind of does bridge the gap to this and the next topic, since it was a World v World stream. But I am curious. Chad is kind of saying, goes back to the hot versus POF. They still play hot maps, POF maps. They rarely visit. That's for you. For me, you're right. I have to play a hot map because guess what? If I miss the bus coming through to get onto the content train, I have to wait for it to come around again. POF, I can go into the map and experience it. It's more of an experience or a journey throughout the world, whereas hot maps, you get on at the beginning with your ticket, and if you get off, you are SOL.
Right. Like, as an example, I need to finish my world exploration in the hot maps because I never finished Dragon Stand. All I need to do is finish that because I'm working on one of the legendaries that needs it. And, like, I'm frustrated because I need to find a map with people so we can open it up so then I can go around and get the last few mount points I don't have. I can't really just go in that map and just explore around. So like that's frustrating to me. Whereas with the POF map, I can just go in and just wander around and get whatever I need. And so in that case, as much as I loved Heart of Thorns and I love POF, like that aspect, to me, POF is better because I can get what I need to do without worrying about finding a map with people on it.
Except then they can't pivot season 5 into an expansion.
No. It's not
I-
going to happen.
that would delay it. That would
Mhm.
delay it heavily, and that's just not something that's.
I saw a comment of paid living roll episodes. I don't think they'll do that either,
Nope.
just because people will riot about that.
Yeah, that wouldn't accomplish anything good for them.
Nope.
Well, in chat's now talking about POF metas of, like, for example, the Vabi one. I think that's because the community has labeled POF as this no metas or whatsoever, which, like we've said and like chat has said, for POF they went back to more of the core Guild Wars 2 aspect of, while there are metas, they're not closing the whole map down metas. This section is now doing an event. But like you're saying, you haven't been able to do a Vabi meta, so there are metas there. It's just unfortunately the player base, maybe through content creators or Reddit or something, hear this one little thing of there's no content in POF, then they run with that idea. But
yeah, it's just content in a different way. Like, there's things there. Like I was saying earlier, there's a lot there. You just have to go find it. Like, it's not necessarily like, oh, look at this thing. Oh my God, go do this thing. Blah, blah, blah. The way hot maps work.
I think, and that's kind of interesting too, because it's like, is it just a transition of people getting accustomed to hot and getting kind of not necessarily handheld, but
right,
kind of getting handheld, and then we go back to this POF pack, to this exploration aspect, but people are kind of used to what hot after hot has been improved so much significantly. It's like, oh, this is great, we're getting rewards all over the place, left and right, and we have all these meta events that are cool. We work together to do these things, and it's kind of an interesting shift of play in that respect. So
I do have a personal anecdote with the stuff coming out, that the layoffs were people were informed of the layoffs before the official in-company announcement happened. I felt like I know exactly what that feeling is. Am I going to be fired today?
Yeah, I've been through that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, me too.
My previous job, I watched the CTO, who was the head of the development division of a marketing company, calling people into his office, and my cubicle was near him. And I just remember sitting there thinking to myself, yeah, if I get called into his office, I'm getting let go today. Exactly what happened. And the 15 minutes it took as I watched people go in there, yeah, that sucked.
Right.
You contacted someone at Kotaku?
Yeah, I'm not in games, so I don't think Kotaku would have cared. But
even like when I went through it, I was lucky in that I was one of the people who wasn't let go. But like the stress and all of that and the sadness of seeing those people let go was something that I didn't get over until like over a year later. Like a year later, I was still like, oh my God, it's been a year since all of those people are gone now. Like, layoffs are a huge drag on everybody, whether you're let go or not. It hurts the soul. It's not good.
Yeah, I got laid off once as well, and it kind of mentally affected me. Like, I don't know, it kind of like reflect on what I did and what I could have done better type of thing, and it just like nags at you.
Which like, even though like it's not necessarily something about you, because of layoffs, somebody has to be let go. It's kind of like a flip a coin thing sometimes. But you still can't help but thinking like, how could have I prevented it or something, what I could have done different.
Well, I mean, I got that layoff was like me getting let go was 6 years ago now, 6.5 years. And when my boss asked me to come into his office and close the door, my heart rate shoots up. Like I have a graph from my Fitbit on my phone, and I know when my boss calls me into his office, and it sucks. But okay, and Sapdan, you also said the word incompetence earlier, and that is the wrong word for any of this. There is no like them listening to feedback. Yeah, they're listening to feedback. Maybe they're not implementing it the way things people want to see it implemented, but they're listening to feedback. There is no company that makes a product that does not listen to feedback.
For example, Thief.
Nerf
Yeah,
Thief.
yeah. Get rid of that stupid goddamn evade on Daggerstorm. Also, the rifle, all of the rifle skills for Deadeye, like all of the thieves were like, yeah, we need to fix like the usability on the stealth on dodge thing. It's not great, and they literally implemented what I know. Age said it on the show before they implemented it. A bunch of other thieves said it on Twitter, on Reddit, on the forums. They implemented literally what the community said. So
Right.
they are listening.
Yeah. It's also like the community has, not just the community for Guild Wars 2, but communities for all games has a habit of focusing on like one or two things and being like, this would make it great without seeing the wider implications, because why would they? They're not developers. They don't know how things work on the backside. They don't know how one thing will necessarily affect other things. And like, we'll be like, this will fix everything. Why don't you do it? And then they don't do it. Or even worse is when games do implement those things and then things get all fucked up. Like the community feedback is valuable, but you can't just blindly do everything that the community says they want, because they're not developers. They don't understand how the greater implications of how things, which even if it seems like it wouldn't affect other game modes or whatever, like everything is interconnected in an MMO. You can't just like sieve out things. Like it's not just like flipping a switch to make something happen. It's not like that.
Yeah, that's
It's a button.
huh?
It's a button.
Yes, the easy button.
No, there is no button. That as a developer, there is no goddamn button.
I know.
There's no buttons on your keyboard? Man, it must be tough being a developer. There's loads of buttons.
We do the Minority Report style now. Yeah.
It just goes in your eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
And then the other thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Good. No. Well, I was just going to go back to layoff stuff.
Well, that's kind of where I'm at. Is there was a statement that where was it? Crap. Now I've lost it. NCSoft is guilty. This was literally handed down from NCSoft that this is going to be across all NCSoft child companies. If ArenaNet was at fault,
it would just be them.
It would literally just be ArenaNet.
Right. And like you also have to remember the earnings report, like all the other divisions were doing pretty well, like right on par with how they normally do it. So like, again, it's not just like ArenaNet messing things up. Like if you look at it in a vacuum and stuff, I'm sure that it's easy to see that, but it's literally across the company.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, like if you go to like on other games and if you played them for like I don't know, like 2-3 years, you can probably find faults with a lot of things in said game, things that they can improve on. I think that goes across the board on a ton of games. Look at let's say
no game's perfect.
Yeah, I play Black Desert Online, not really a lot, but there are people who play that game a lot, and they probably find a lot of things wrong with it. I know, like NBA plays at Black Desert part-time now and plays like other games as well, just because he has issues with that game. So I play a lot of Overwatch, or used to, but yeah, I found so many faults with that game. It's like I'll play casually every now and then, but like I feel like every game has faults. And because we've played Guild Wars 2 so long, I can find a bunch of things that I feel like could be improved.
Right.
But people find those things and still play, even though they want all these changes, is because they like the game. They don't want to they see the potential in said game and they want it to succeed. So they'll keep giving that feedback and they'll keep playing in hopes of, a better tomorrow type of deal. Games are literally perfect or garbage.
Yeah, it feels that way often.
Because you know why? The people in between are just playing the game.
And not to mention that there's a bit of a psychological aspect too, because you slowly get less enjoyment out of things you find fun, and they just kind of become meh. But things you hate are always things you hate.
Right.
Looking to the guy with the masters in psych to confirm.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's you, Dave.
Yeah. That's me.
You're just like,
I don't have a master's in psych, so.
Oh,
No,
stop
like I've said
slacking,
before,
HD.
yeah, get on my level. Sorry, my internet was kicking in. Yeah, no, it's just a proven fact that like a negative thing rings, I think it's 7 times more loud. It's like, and I think that's why it sticks with the internet and the enraged culture that people like to call it. Like nowadays, it definitely seems worse, but I don't know. It's we just all gotta love each other, right?
Yeah, which like what I was saying, like about like communities not always knowing what's best for the game. I'm like, that's not saying that there aren't things that they need to work on, and I wish they would hurry up and work on them. But I'm just saying you have to remember, you're not a developer, you're not inside, you don't really know what's going on. Like this is all outside looking in.
Then as a developer, you can't just like, oh, I just need to make this one change. No. When you're working with a group, you have to do pull requests, you have to do merge requests, everything has to be documented in case it somehow fucks something up, and roll it back. There are a lot of extra steps in a code project this big. You can't just do something.
And it's amazing that they can all add that to a switch.
Right. I was going to say most of the time too, when you're making changes, like just as something like how an ability works, it's not generally as simple as like deleting a number in a line or something. Like it's more complex than that. So like even simple changes, it takes a lot.
I actually tried making a Guild Wars 2 skill calculator just for fun.
Oh yeah.
It was hard.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's so many numbers. I need a database. I actually need to make a database on my local machine just to house all these different numbers.
I mean, Zacharias, I prefer the tranquil ocean, but that's me. So I like the analogy though. That's pretty poetic. I dig it.
Yeah.
Like we need to put that on, like, carve that into one of those wood block decorative things and hang it up on a wall somewhere. So
Septon, I'm saying your evidence, like, that's great, but again, it's from the outside looking in. You don't actually know what is going on there. You're just like looking at, like, it's the old correlation is not causation. Just because these things seem to be happening around the same time and together does not mean that they caused them. It's like more complex than that.
And they are adding small things to PvP. They are working on a big project for WvW, and we'll talk about. Well, no, they've added maps and stuff, whether people like it or not. I'm sorry, but it's content that they're trying to add and address.
Yeah.
WvW, they're trying to work on the alliance system. They don't have nothing yet, and we'll talk about the Mount thing. Living Story Season 4 maps, you were just saying there weren't meta maps. These have been meta maps. Balance, they've told us from the beginning that they were trying to do in increment times, like certain periods of time, like, and so they've kind of lived up to all that stuff that you're mentioning that is in maintenance mode.
It's I kind of understand where he comes from. I wanted to get more into it with the next topic, but pretty much, for those who know, I played PvP for like at least 3 years. I played War vs. World more exclusively roaming for at least 3 years. I used to play a lot of. I used to like farm LS4 Living Story maps. I don't feel the need to do the Living Story maps just yet. I'm going to, because there's probably a legendary trinket. That's it. I don't want to wait 60 days.
Right.
And I've always, I've said for a while now that balance has been really out of whack in terms of PvP.
Right. Yeah, we've been talking about that a lot. Like the balance is messed up.
I honestly thought, because when Hot came out, balance was out of whack, and they fixed it within like I think a year. And then with POF, they try rebalancing too, but it's taking longer for the actual balance to settle, where everything is like good, but it's not like overpowering
Right.
in one aspect or another.
I think
So-
that's large. I think that's largely just because there's more variables now. There's more elite
Yeah.
specs they're messing with. So like the fact that it's taking longer, as much as that sucks, because it does suck, but it also is kind of expected.
Yeah, and that's why I think that's why I think one of the reasons why I'm not going to get a new expansion is because they always provide a new elite spec, and with the new elite spec, it's going to throw the balance into way more chaos than it
Right.
already is now. And
Starting to look like D&D 3.5 out here.
yeah, so it's trying to figure out how to balance it. Like I would love it if they could do a balance every 2 weeks, but obviously they can't. So and they keep balancing every time they can. I wish. I honestly, I would love it if they could at least balance once a month.
Right.
But
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I think Jim talked about it in chat, but your chat is saying Living Story season 4 episodes have been all the same, and chat's also spelling out 4 hearts, a new legendary, 1 meta, and minis. Well, minis as a reward to pretty much drain people's karma half the time. Sure, I mean that's
Right.
just one reward structure. A meta. Wasn't this what once again hot people were complaining? It wasn't enough like Guild Wars 2 core, so POF, they did that. Now people are complaining there's not enough metas. So welcome to the problem with metas. They're not as lucrative as this gold farm, so we do it for the achievements and go back. The thing you're complaining about in POF, but happens a lot faster because you can't really experience the place unless there's a meta. But new legendary, they're going through that to complete what they promised in hot. And 4 hearts, well, are all the hearts exactly the same? Like go to this. I remember one of the hearts. Go to the field and collect herbs and return them in. Are they all exactly the same, or are they just hearts that have you do things? Which you're basically defining a formula. Which go to any game, you're going to find the formula.
yeah,
Are all the meta events exactly the same? Like same mechanics? I don't believe so.
Yeah, the formula's always been the same.
Right.
In terms of starting season 3, I think.
Season 3,
Yeah, it's been
the
the
volcano
same.
map. I can't remember. It's 4
Ember Bay.
hearts. Ember Bay. Yeah, they have
Oh,
4
wait,
hearts.
Bloodstone Fen, right? That was the first one.
Yeah, Bloodstone Fen had hearts. I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
so it's like it's the same. That's not my problem with the map. So I think it's my problem is like, back in Living World Season 3, I was playing a lot more of the different content. I was varying between PvP, World versus World, and PvE in terms of the story and the maps, and I was having fun with it. Now I just have PvE right now that I'm playing primarily, and you know I'm doing a lot of it. Like if you don't know, I've made like freaking 7 legendaries in the past year and a half. So
Because you're insane.
that's true, but also.
No, you're right, Zacharyox. I think Bloodstone Fen doesn't have hearts. They made that transition, which, like I said, and I said that way back, I wasn't a fan of hearts. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep up with chat.
But a lot of people wanted hearts. Like
No,
that
yes,
was one of their big complaints is they didn't like not having them because they were used to them. And
I know some people have OCD because they reset, and it's like it's incomplete.
and they listen to the community.
Gasp.
Right.
Yeah,
Heck, they even gave you, if you didn't finish the heart, they just rolled your percentage over to the next day. The only time they reset it is if you were done with it.
Right.
my point being with all this is that, again, I'm not very satisfied with certain aspects of the game. Like I think balance can be much better. I'm hoping eventually within the next 4 months, because I want a PvP. I do want a PvP.
Right.
I can only do it like once every couple days because
That's why I've been playing Salt and Sanctuary for 0 to Hero, because I just can't. Dealing with mesmers is not fun.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like it's okay to step away from the game. I know nowadays, especially with MMOs, it feels like it has to be your sole game, but it doesn't have to be as much as.
Honestly, like Krista doesn't play that much. I don't play that much anymore either. But we've basically called Guild Wars 2 a guilt-free MMO because literally the only obligation I have is to make sure I log in when a new story comes out so that I can play it eventually.
Right.
So I don't have to get burned out. I just have to log in, log out.
Well, and that was kind of the idea with Guild Wars too. They wanted it to be a game that people can jump in and out of as they wanted it. And you wouldn't feel like you've got to do all of this stuff to catch up to be able to play with your friends. That was the whole like idea. And they've done pretty good with that. Like there are a lot of aspects. Like I agree on the PvP and the world versus world stuff. Like reasons why I don't do those things right now because it's not fun for me. But like that's just like I don't know.
It's but there are some people who play Guild Wars 2 as their own game, like the only game that they play because they just enjoy the game so much.
Right.
And
which is great.
Yeah, it's great too, but then it comes the problem of I want to do X, but there's not enough of X to satisfy me, or there's something wrong with X in order to like
minus the friend part of Guild Wars 2 is Guild Wars 2 is more of a single player game feel. You could plug in any MMO, modern MMO with that.
Yeah. Oh, let me go back to that real quick.
Besides having friends, like I'm just confused. Like
so it's not I don't think it's just Guild Wars 2. I think like every single MMO has at least the ones I've been playing have transitioned to like this single player aspect, at least in PvE. And I'm not sure why. But I am a huge advocate of guild missions. I would love if there were any new guild missions. That way, because like back in the day, I used to play guild missions every Monday at like 8 p.m. Eastern
with the Ottoman Empire. Yeah.
Not with Ottoman Empire. I did with Maven.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just remember Bog doing the videos for that. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun. Had some laughs. Did some races. We even made like our own little thing about it as well. It was a lot of fun. Then people got bored because there were no new guild missions, and so people slowly declined. And then raids came out, and then you know that's group content. We got together, made groups, did some raids, but slowly people are not playing Guild Wars 2, or they're busy with stuff or things like that. And so I think our two-man group is now going to join into one group now in the near future. So what was my point? Damn it! I just lost.
Guild missions. We want more guild missions.
All right.
Yes, that's the point.
You want fun, random shit to do with
group
not necessarily raids and fractals.
Yeah. So group content outside of like world versus world, maybe even PvP. Like if you have a friend.
If you have a friend.
Well, if you have a friend that plays PvP.
I know. I was just saying that your phrasing was funny.
I'm sorry. And I don't know. There might be some people who do play guild missions still. I don't know. But
I know some people who do regularly still do guild missions, and I mean, it's great that they're still having fun with that. I can't keep doing it because it's boring for me at this point.
Yeah, or like hard stuff like fractals or like high-level fractals, things like that. But I turned to Saute Skritt. I just lost my train of thought heavily. But basically, yeah, games become single player. Like even living stories become a single player. So that was my point. Sorry.
Right. I think one of the problems that I've had in the game is, and it's related to what you were just saying, H, is they focused on a lot on having harder group content for people to do and less on group content that's just like fun but not necessarily challenging, if that makes sense. Like things that you can just be like, hey, let's go do this silly thing with all of us, whatever. I feel like there's less of that in the game than there used to be.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of think we're still like we're kind of getting into like the topic I think we even did last week of like what could Guild Wars 2 implement or do, to make us get more people into the game. So, I mean, any final thoughts on, the possible ArenaNet layoffs or the NCSoft Western layoffs in general, or because I know I have one, but it might be better to go last on it. But
ArenaNet is more of a family type of environment, and my Twitter feed was like full of devs like talking and like supporting each other through it.
Right.
That was really cool to see. And of course, the game community had job postings. I tried as much as possible to retweet all the job postings I saw. Like even when I was at work, I tried to like take a minute to scan through Twitter real quick. And it really sucks to see people go, especially, especially like kind of similar to the Blizzard layoffs, like people kind of losing motivation in terms of the gaming industry of itself. I hope no one feels that way, but hopefully people bounce back and find something new if they do get laid off. And I just wish everyone the best.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about where I am with it. When I was able to meet people at PAX last year, all of the ArenaNet employees that I met there, all seemed to be genuinely excited to work on Guild Wars 2, to work for ArenaNet. And that's really difficult to do, to have happen in a corporate environment, especially in tech, because tech is always very fast paced. So yeah, I get why they canceled the stream yesterday, because how can you, like, I know I have problems streaming when I'm stressed, which is why I haven't been playing PvP, because I don't want to be frustrated dealing with mesmers. I don't think that's good for the camera. So I can only imagine that they're basically losing family from their workplace, and they have to be nice on camera. No.
And also, I know, kind of on that note, you just like reminded me of like people saying like that's their part of their job, which, I mean, I don't know the original job postings, but when we've seen some pop up in the last about devs for positions, nowhere did I see like you would have to stream the game or something. And from hearing from the past of, I remember, what was it? What's the guy's name? He's awesome.
No idea who you're talking about.
I think his last name Hemlick, the guy with the long hair.
Oh,
the awesome dude.
The guy who looked like he was like a Lemmy doppelganger.
I don't know. Joel. I want to say Jim, but I knew that was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, Joel, thank you.
Like what are you
I remember when he
talking
first came on, and like one of the first ones he was on, and I think even Ruby mentioned like, oh, he was kind of nervous, and I remember saying, I was like, he played the game like you think you play the game, where he was like making like flamethrower noise and stuff. I was like, I was fully entertained, and he was awesome. But it kind of goes back to that that idea of like, these are developers at the end of the day. They like, especially when we talked about them, they're not talking enough on the forums or something. It's like, that's not really their job. Their job is to be the developer. Like, I don't think in their job description where it said you must do a weekly Twitch stream or something, or so for people to go out there and say like this is part of your job is
well, and like I've had conversations with Ruby about that and all of that, and like there are a lot of devs we will probably never see on a stream just because they are not comfortable with that, which like I don't know if people are aware in general, but like introversion runs really high among devs and developers, and like being out there, and like even if people are not there, you're on a stream with hundreds of people, like that is a huge burden. And like I can't imagine trying to do that when you don't know like if your friends are going to have a job, or if you're going to have a job with all of that going on. Like I wouldn't have been able to do that.
It's just that, also like even if you are staying, like you can, and you have someone in the company leaving, kind of want to just focus. Like I highly doubt people aren't working that day. Like,
go ahead. No,
Inks brings up a good point. It's just there are some people who just do not want to be on camera.
Right.
Yeah. And like I said, from someone from the outside being in I used to have like a position like that where it's like, like HR and stuff like that. I'm sure it wasn't HR, but like someone along those lines of like getting people to do something that's not part of their job description. Now, I'm not saying like have a developer plunging a toilet. Like that's But like, oh, we're doing this like little, like, for them a community thing, but I've had in the past like, oh, hey, we're gonna have like guests come in and we're gonna have like a welcoming table. Does someone, like, usually they'd volunteer, be like, basically, do you want to get paid to stay, stand? And usually people be like, all right, sounds good if you worded to them that way. I wouldn't be surprised if that was one of the selling points, was like, hey, if you're comfortable with it, do you want to stream the game that you make while getting paid, while at work? Like,
Right.
which I'm sure some of them are like, yeah, that'd be cool. And, a lot of times they field the question. So it's not like, out of nowhere, they have to answer like a weird question that maybe they can't answer or something like that. They always have them
Right.
field the question. So it's more of a controlled environment, but
Well, and also like there's so many. The other thing that people have to remind is it's stressful when you're talking to the public as a dev, because also you have to remember that they're working on versions of the game that are not the live game. Like they have things implemented that they're working and testing on, and sometimes it can be really difficult to keep track of what's been announced, what has been talked about, what hasn't, what you can't talk about. Like all of that works together, and that is also stressful. Like I've had some of the inside thing of that, and it's really hard to keep all of that straight. Like it's a lot.
yeah, I'm kind of confused. I'm trying to catch up with chat, and people are talking about Deror's stream. He did 2-hour talk about it, which I don't know. I unfortunately didn't get a chance to see it, but from the sounds of what chat is talking about that got to watch it, sounds like it's varying opinions from ours, which I recommend going to check out, because I feel like we should all try to see everybody's side, whether we don't like it or we like it or agree with it. But I am confused by the logic of, apparently he has more clout because he's an ANET partner. I don't know. Do they get more information? Usually in partner programs, they might be like, oh, an update's coming out if you want to start like promoting for something for it. But usually
Sometimes
they don't
you get to preview things early, like the press does and stuff.
But it's not like you get knowledge of inner workings of
No,
Did they get the preview for the last balance patch or whatever people are worried about, like for the rip?
Yeah.
Like, see, I don't know what the disconnect with, like, I'm not sure where that goes, but
there is literally no way major projects could happen at ANET without NCSoft knowing.
Right.
It's not possible. It's just not. So this isn't like ANET had some secret project and NCSoft found out about it and they're like, you're firing people because we say so, because this is a drain on funds. No.
Yeah, that would be astonishing, because like you have to realize with the publisher developer relationship, you have to report on what you're working on regularly.
Project Sapdan is Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 is a project. Living Story Season 5 is a sub-project of Guild Wars 2. Expansion is a sub-project of Guild Wars 2. We're talking deliverable product is a project for a games development company. There is no way in hell NCSoft wouldn't know that ArenaNet was working on something. Now, This is starting to feel really disrespectful to the people who got laid off and the people at ArenaNet, and I'm starting to get a little worked up. Can we move on to the War Claw? I need something calmer.
Well, and I was going to say that kind of transitions with, we were talking about the World v. World, like people wondering if that connects it. And I'm sure people were wanting to see the World v. World stream because it would lead into that stuff. But I kind of did want to say, because I started to think about it, and it was one of those sad things over like hearing all these people come out of the woodwork saying like, we're not sure if we have our job or whatnot. We're like, an ArenaNet's keeping us in the loop and all that stuff. But as bad as this is, I think once again, Guild Wars 2, the community, the devs, ArenaNet, we all have an excellent chance right now. And I'm sure this might fall on deaf ears, but I think this past week, well, these past couple of days, it feels like a week how long this felt. But I think we all have a chance. We had that feeling of what our lives might be like without Guild Wars 2 and the devs that work on it. And I think that shook a lot of people, like player base wise.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we take that and learn from it, you know, kind of going back to what I said earlier, can we all just kind of start anew and be nice and friendly and, you know, still be critical about things, but not resorting to name calling. Like, you know, I don't want to throw, you know, name call anyone. That's just, you don't get anywhere with that. But I don't know, maybe this is a good opportunity to take and be like, hey, let's
hey now, Inks.
But I don't know, I just thought of that like the other day, and I was like, you know, that could be the good thing that might come out of this, is like, I think everybody now has that feeling of, oh man, I really do like this game, or I have some kind of attachment to it because I'm so passionate about it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't know, it's me being hopeful.
Yeah, it kind of. I was gonna make this video like around Valentine's Day, but I was a little busy, and then this happened. I'm like, it sparked off this idea because I've played the Guild Wars 2 franchise for over a decade. I think like 13 years, 14 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this game's given me a lot in terms of where I am and like who I grew up to be. I played this like when I was in elementary school high school, sorry. And you know, it gave me a lot of connections to different groups, different people. I would not be on this podcast if I didn't like branch out to like Game Breaker, which is where I went to get Guild Wars 2 news. Because I liked the first game and I wanted to find more about it. And for those who know, Game Breaker was a old gaming news site. And I wouldn't have met like a bunch of the creators that I know today, like, and I wouldn't have, you know, traveled to PAX probably, honestly. So it's to meet people. So like this game has meant a lot to me over the years, and it really, you know, struck a chord in me that the layoffs of people who love the game or love, you know, gaming in general just get hit like that. So, you know, that's my 2 cents. Sorry, I did that.
No, that helped. That helped bring the feels back. So
yeah, my bad. So
Deo, this is the point where you do your bad pun.
Well, I can't do it when, you know, you point it out. It's just disappointing. It makes me want to fight.
Speaking of fighting,
we're getting cats in World versus World.
Wow, that's like a team effort transition.
I'm not part of that. No. No,
that's okay.
After the sentimental thing of Age saying, like, I want a quick cut, like a jump cut of Age being like, I met these guys and all that stuff, and then I'm not being a part of that. No. You love us. Anyway, sorry.
Glad I could help.
But yes, so the thing that was probably going to be the big headliner at the beginning of the week until things have happened, oh boy, was the World Reward announcement that we were talking about, I think, last week and the week before. We finally, due to weather and stuff that was delaying it, they finally told us what it was. And this coming Tuesday, they will give us the Warclaw mount. It is a World v World exclusive mount. Like, you can exclusively earn it in World v World, but you can use it apparently in PvE. But like I said, it is exclusively earnable in World v World. And like we said, available February 26th. Apparently has some kind of narrative to it, because one of the devs was talking about they're excited and can't wait because they worked on some narrative where that's as much as a collection story a little bit, or dialogues, or I mean, but I'm kind of curious, like, so before we get our thoughts or start talking about everything that we know so far, it seems like the community is split, or I don't know, depending on where you go, but a lot of people are not a fan of the Warclaw mount and are worried about the state of World v World and all that stuff on the mount itself. And some people are excited and can't wait to try it out. And I'd like to hear where you guys fall on it. Maybe somewhere in the middle, but also, I don't know, like, take it away.
I'm game. Like I've been ever since they introduced gliding. I'm like, they could totally put mounts in WW with this. They literally just have to design a mount for it.
Right.
Because gliding mechanics in WW are completely different from open world gliding mechanics. So I'm totally all for this because it just feels like WvW hasn't really changed much recently. Yeah, sure, you have different damage and you have different effects from the giant AoE circles that you stand in, but it's still just giant AoE circles from two different blobs of people. Some of the more finicky bits like Havoc squads and roaming, I'm not really in on because I don't have an organized WvW group to Havoc with, and I don't like any of the roamer classes. So that's me. So I'm just the kind of person to find a commander tag and follow them, but this will be interesting. And not to mention with the one ability with the dash on the third skill, like being able to break through stuff, like break through an enemy line if it does that. Yeah, I'm totally game for changing up. We've basically gotten cavalry added to WvW, and I'm totally.
Do you think it'll be possible to use the War Claw dash to like bash into walls and do more wall damage to break them?
Doubt it. I don't think it's going to be a damage skill. Then you basically have to do siege damage to interact with a wall. And it seems that the only siege skill is the chain pull on the gates, and that is interacting with a very specific target. So I don't think they're going to be able to do anything to walls.
I mean, maybe, but I could see it being possible for them to program it so that the chains could interact with any of the structures. Like you could just attach to a wall and pull it, but more damage. But at the same time,
like
done.
You gotta. I figure that like if you have just a whole Zerg hop on their war claws and yank on a wall, or yank on several walls, like I feel like that would be a little.
Well, yeah, like imagining the big keep in the middle, everybody just surround it and be like, roar!
It's like literally destroy every single wall of Stone Mist at once.
Right. That would probably be insane.
So, Age, you're the big WvW guy. So, oh no, he's smiling while typing.
No, I'm seeing chat. Oh, okay. I was gonna delay for you, but if you got your.
My opinion about this. Okay, so when I first saw it, I figured this is going to be the biggest change for Zerg fights. Actually, my first concern was that after I heard that POF was required, is that if the mount is going to be required to Zerg fight well, because that's one of my main concerns.
Yeah, because it basically brings up everybody's speed boosts. Not
only that, because the evade feature allows you to zip into a backline easily, and then you could just destroy them. So it's like if the other Zerg has more people who have POF, they kind of win. Like that that's messed up. So
but isn't that kind of already a thing if like one Zerg has more people who have pot and have gliding and don't?
Well, I mean, consider Scourge. If more people have Path of Fire than the other Zerg, you just have constant AoE pulsing.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think the mount is good at getting around like the Spellbreaker bubbles and the Scourge nonsense. But I do worry about POF being that kind of make or break in terms of the mount there. So that's something to be seen.
Right.
I think that's like one of the first things people are going to try.
Well, no, go ahead.
And in terms of the gliding, I don't really feel is highly necessary. It's mostly used to just, get to areas a little faster, but I don't feel like it makes like a huge difference.
Right, but anecdotally, so like I think I told you guys about it before, was I used to PvP. I used to world versus world a lot, I loved it. And I went back not that long ago and went to run around with the Zerg, and like they were jumping off stuff and gliding, and I quickly got left behind because I didn't have it unlocked because I had taken a long break from World versus World. So like that aspect made it unfun with me because then I felt like I was basically just running to catch up to the Zerg all the time and I wasn't actually useful.
Okay.
So like it has a bit of an effect there. Like it's not required. I could still World versus World, but it makes it harder to be effective at it.
Yeah. And that's another interesting point to add on to the conversation. The other thing I talked with Aaron about this on Twitter. Is like I feel like roaming is going to get hit with this just because if Zergs are able to roam faster with mounts, that they will be able to capture objectives if RI stays the same.
Right.
And it means, and I know Deo is a fan of defense. So you can actually defend faster with the mounts.
It'll definitely make WW faster.
Yeah, I feel like
because I saw a lot of people saying like they should increase the map size to compensate. Which, I mean, first off, that would just be more blank space. Because
right.
I mean,
take it as you will. And I think a lot of I won't say a lot. I'll say some World vs. World players don't want PvE players in the game mode. It's like I think that's ridiculous. I think getting people into the game mode and transitioning them to understand World vs. World is a good thing.
Right.
Here is where I think a lot of World vs. World players have a problem with, and I said this on our Discord, and I said I would explain myself. So I think the mount is okay. It still needs to be seen in terms of Zerg play, but I don't think it's what's necessary for World vs. World, and I think it needs more meaningful content. Now, what I mean by meaningful content is that the mount is good for getting an uptick of players, for generating interest in World vs. World, for PvE players coming into the game mode, getting them out, whatever. It will not keep them in the game mode. Some of them will transition maybe to World vs. World and play World vs. World, but it will not keep a good chunk of them in the game mode because inherently World vs. World has a lot of problems. There's like, you can break through walls. There's a ton of balance issues. Those are just off the top of my head. So what I mean by meaningful content is you need to fix the initial problems with World vs. World in order to retain players, because it's good to have players come in, but if you're not keeping them in, or a majority of them in, I don't see the point really of putting the mount in now versus, I don't know, like having the balance go through it. Like if the mount came in with alliances, maybe that would make a little bit of a difference. But
well, I mean, the optimistic point of view would be that like maybe they're putting this in now to drum up attention for World versus World, to get people into it, so then hopefully soon after they'll be ready to put out the alliances and some of the other things that they've said they've been working on for World versus World to make it better.
What if this drops and like I said, I'm saying this as possibly a way they could do it, like Robin's saying, to drum up excitement. Like now people might have their eyes on World vs. World stuff. Would be like in 2 weeks or something, they announce, hey, we're going to talk about the alliance system on the next guild chat or something, or like where we're at with it, and start getting people's feedback and to start getting people, because I mean, with Warframe, they're doing their Melee 3.0 update. They decided to go the route of incremental, small little things, and they're saying that from the get-go, which if Arena's doing that, I wish they would say something.
Right.
But, you know, I don't know either way, but I'm just saying, and it's, at least with Warframe's community, they're like, okay, well, and we'll take this little small chunk, give you the feedback, and as you progress the other stuff to changing the way the whole system works, you know, in general. So whether that is what they're doing here or not, I don't know. It would be nice, but
yeah, but the thing is, that's not what ArenaNet's doing. ArenaNet last alliance update was, I think, like 4 or 5 months ago, if I'm not mistaken. And then all of a sudden they come out with the mount thing, and it's not what a majority of World versus players were
Right.
interested in looking at.
But
Right?
I think the other thing is I've seen some people worried about it, like that they put time into this instead of working on alliances. And I don't think the people who were focused on this are the people who are directly working on the alliances and the balancing of world versus world. Like, I think the Mount people probably consulted with the world versus world because they had to make things work within the structure of what that was, and like come up with ideas of how to make it fun and interesting. But it would be a really weird choice to be like, hey, we have this giant thing we're working on, it's taking a lot of time, but let's pull people off of it to do this other thing. Like, that's not a thought pattern that makes sense and that I would really see them making.
Especially with the concept of this is a World v. World mount. They probably took people that have made the mounts in other games and maybe had them sit with the World v. World people saying, like, what can we do in World v. World with a mount? But yeah, I don't think they took World v. World people and were like, now learn to make a mount. Or like, you know, it's like, why don't you take the people that have the experience and maybe work with the, you know, just chat with the people in World v. World.
Yeah,
which I think that's the more likely of the two. But
there is a mounts team, if I recall.
Yeah. There's, but also the other thing is like the alliance setup. That's going to be a lot more systems development,
right?
Balance. That's a lot of back end net code, not anything to do with making a mount. So that's. I don't even know if the people like sure the people that there are programmers on both teams, but I don't know if they necessarily have the ability to cross discipline between both of them. So
right.
Yeah. In terms of monetizing World vs. World, I do think that it was a insanely genius move, in my opinion. Like it or not, it was pretty smart. I will say.
Well, haven't I been saying constantly that they need to get something that is unique to the other game modes?
And I like how people are saying as a negative thing. That means they want to invest in your game mode. Yeah.
I know.
They're interested. Show interest back.
The instant I saw like you can use it in open world PvE, I'm like,
that's advertising it because people are going to see it and be like, oh my God, how can I get that cat?
Exactly. And you go into WvW and we're talking about at least a little bit of conversion. Now, the thing that I'm hoping, I hope to see when the patch notes drop for Tuesday is that there's going to be more WvW changes to coincide with the War Claw. I'm fairly certain that they haven't talked about those because the people who are interested in those changes are the WvW players. They're the people who are already in there. They're not going to like wow these people with that. They're going to play WvW regardless. The War Claw announcement was the people who don't WvW. That was for them. Hey, look at this thing you have to play WvW for. I'm hoping when the patch notes drop, that there are going to be, at the very least, siege changes. There has to be siege changes. They're basically introducing another siege weapon into World v. World. So I would imagine there's at least some rebalancing going on with siege. So,
QD brings up an interesting point that I totally forgot about, and that's World vs. World lag, because that will happen. I feel like. And
how is it going to be any different from right now?
Mounts add more pixels.
Yeah. It's more things.
It's more things to It's going to be a problem because there is World vs. World lag now where people's skills don't activate and it could go up towards like 30 seconds.
Right, but it's one of those things where it's like as you use the ability, like you're cutting out people using skills as the Zergs attack. Like if both Zergs are on their War Claws, they're not using skills as they run each other.
Well, except for the get into combat skill.
Right, but that's a single skill, and that's literally like when they showed the
two Zergs going
like it's just like the big double swipe thing. So you've got like ranged attacks with fireballs and shit, and then you've got a cat swiping. You've got the server load of either all of the Warclaw skins versus all of the skills going off. That also entails calculations for hits, for dodges, for Condi application, for trait procking, for rune procking, for sigil procking.
There could be
3 blobs. Sorry, I forgot. I usually have 2 blob fights, but
I think you're right, but there's also aspects where you can have a mix of both,
Mhm.
where you can have a Zerg progress in fight, and then another Zerg comes in on war clause. Like
Yeah.
I think you do have a good point. It will be interesting to see how they handle it because
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I don't think it'll fix the lag problem because you're dealing with 150 plus people fighting.
Right.
It's going to be a pain in the butt for any MMO to handle. But
Yeah, it's though I when I saw chat saying like other ways they could, because I like how people are calling this a negative that like they figured out a way to monetize World v World. Yeah, that means they want it to be a thing. Like, look at the positive out of it. They want you to.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a business. They want you to spend money, aka. But like Chad said, there's people that are transferring, and I think that's ultimately the problem is how many people are, and this goes with whatever a Mount skin will be, how many people are using in-game funds versus actually spending the money.
Then the other thing as well is you have to think about once the alliance system goes live, how many people are actually going to be transferring server? Will that still be a thing that people will do? Like that might be something they're thinking about as they're getting closer to getting it implemented.
True.
So it's like an exchange of currency.
But I did like Chat's idea of like different skins for like siege stuff, and I was thinking like I think it might have been
giant corgi warcaw.
Well, I was even thinking like the actual siege stuff. Like, think about like if during Halloween stuff, like instead of the catapult, you could buy a catapult skin that was basically the same banquet table that they have for the Mad King's scepter, the table, and instead of throwing one thing, you just like start winding up and just throw one thing of food at the thing, and that's like the catapult like doing the damage. Like
hilarious, yeah.
And like just do stuff like that. I mean, would people like that, or would that, say, like people say with wings on characters, it ruins your immersion or something like.
Honestly, I was thinking, get a like Halloween catapult skin would be a candy golem throwing candy corn at something.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
Instead of like, you standing there next to the catapult and it just kind of rocking back, and your character is just like pointing as the golem just turns and
Mm-hmm.
And Chad is right, and that is our next topic is, but I know Chad keeps bringing up is there is a balance patch coming next week with the update, but we will talk more about that in a second here. But yeah, just right now we're focusing right now just on the Mount, but it is a good point because a lot of people are talking about stuff that's not happening, and this would be the perfect time to do a heavy balance pass on World v World, but
right,
it's I will say though, okay, so for the Mount, it's gonna really depend on how abusive it is in terms of like getting through structures.
Oh,
Zerg play, it's gonna hit roaming no matter what, in my opinion.
Might buff roaming depending on how fast it is.
The thing is, like, again, if the people who have the Mount, the people who are roaming together with more mounts, will probably have the better rotation and will have more objectives because of it. But it's also a balance of keeping those objectives, obviously. But
right.
I'll also improve roaming, which means I will not have to use short bow, I guess. So that's good.
I fucking hate that skill. Sorry.
But yeah, I'm just wary, I guess.
I mean, like, there's no way to really know how it's going to affect things until it gets into the hands of players and we see how they use it. Because, like, we can imagine all of these things, but at the end of the day, people always come up with random ways to make use of things in game where it's like, oh, well, shit, I didn't think about that, Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I say Warclaw is going to hit roaming just because of the rotations. People are going to make faster rotations. Roaming styles will have to be different.
Right.
And it also depends how fast people can make their rotations, how many objectives they can hold, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know those metrics because I don't know how the Mount works exactly just yet. So.
Yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of people are making a lot of assumptions on. We don't even really even know how we're going to acquire the mount. I'm
Oh.
guessing, I'm guessing I think a lot of people have the assumption it's going to be like how the glider is. Like, you can get the thing pretty easily, but getting like the skills and stuff, you're going to have to invest the points in. But
Right.
in the end, we don't know.
Yeah.
But
That seems like the smartest way for them to do it, but
mhm.
Yeah. I'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, like Chad says, it comes down to the implementation, which that's what a lot of people are just speculating on.
Yeah.
With you mentioned the balance patch, I'm really like, honestly, I just love balance patches. That's me. Like, I just love seeing changes to the game. I'm not a huge fan of changes for changes' sake only.
right.
But like I said, I haven't been playing Zero to Hero because Mesmers. A lot of people don't play PvP because Mesmers. QED was telling me earlier that the monthly automated tournament had a finals round where one team had 1 chrono and 2 mirages on it. And if a monthly automated tournament team has 3 members on a single class, there might be a slight issue with that.
I just
little one.
I actually fought a Mesmer World as well a couple of days ago. I couldn't kill him. He got to like 300 health, and then he just invincibility, like just so much evade and invulnerability.
Yep. It's
made me sad.
It's one of the things. Like, my complaint is that they took away. Thanks, Eggs. And that's the key problem I had, is that they changed the behavioral actions of clones. Like, being able to reposition clones, and you're never 100% sure which is which when you just have to blow AoE to see who takes the most damage or who takes the least damage out of a Mesmer's clones. Like, because that's pretty much it. Changing their behavior, like being able to redirect them and cause the clones to do different attacks, that kind of removes one of the weaknesses of clones.
Right.
I always figured, because like when I played my Tempest, I was like, okay, a Mesmer is fighting me. Switch to air, overload air, have my AoE kill the clones for me, because they're not going to survive the AoE.
Right.
But now that, Mirages grant evades, and they go untargetable and move, and they get different attacks, and it's just so much going on, I can't counter the clones because there's nothing to do to them.
Yeah, it's just last season Mirage was a solid platinum. Yeah. It feels like if you pick up Mirage and you actually practice it, it'll just do well in PvP.
Mm-hmm.
And that like doing well is fine, but if you're gonna get like top 250 because of it, it's kind of a problem.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, if you were to put that much effort into another class and you hit a ceiling a lot harder earlier on, I think there might be something wrong with the class.
Yeah, I mean, like just and I mean, like, I don't play Mesmer. I played Mesmer in PvP like 3 times probably.
Mm-hmm.
If I pick up Mirage and then next week I'm Platinum, that's a problem.
So what you're saying is I should ditch my Reaper and switch to Mirage.
I think Reaper isn't Reaper pretty good right now?
It's okay.
Not the build she likes to play.
Oh.
No, Arlie's playing a much more I'm going to get into the fight and stay in the fight, and playing the Bruiser build, not the Reaper's Onslaught, quickness, glass cannon stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I like I don't know, I like fighting, but I don't like being really, really squishy in PvP. I like being able to take care of people and like take their attention away from things that they should be paying attention to, or to be able to hold a point long enough for help to arrive, like things like that. That's what I like to do. So
you can play like a non-damage Weaver and then just kite.
What are you talking about? There is no damage on Weaver.
Oh.
Sorry, that was me.
Feels bad, man.
But if you, I mean, kind of shameless plug here, kind of mixing with the balance update and the mount thing. I think me and Malthanis on Wednesday, in honor of that stuff coming out, instead of like
You're gonna
regular Zero to Hero.
PvP? Oh snap! Here
No,
we
no,
go.
No.
Can you use the mount in PvP? Wait, Ana, you can't, right? 'Cause before I say this, you can't,
You
right?
can use it in Heart of the Mist, just not the PvP maps.
I was getting
So-
so hyped.
Yeah, come on, jeez.
Hey, what were
But
you saying?
well, we were gonna go into World v World and try the mount and probably get our faces kicked in. So, well, at least I know I will. But yeah, so we'll be doing that Wednesday. I know they'll do vote to kick first, which is right around 8 p.m. Eastern, and then about half hour after that or so lead into that. So if you're on Yaks Ben, if you want to join us, just be around that time. We'll gladly add people. If you're versing us, stay away from me.
Hunt down
Shoot.
Deo.
No, that's not the game mode. No,
That sounds like a great game mode.
no.
Protect the
Everybody
president.
find
It's-
Deo.
You know what?
He
You're
plays-
welcome,
he plays
Arena.
a
I just
Necromancer. Turn off standard models. He is in all white. He looks a lot like Malthael from Diablo 3.
stop.
Nice.
Not anymore. You're welcome, Arena. I just gave you a lot of funding from all the transfers over to whatever Yak Ben's facing to probably kick the crap out of me.
All
All right, but yeah. So no, it was just a little thing that And if people like it, maybe we'll try to do World v World nights or something like that on maybe a different night. That way, Arlie and stuff can maybe join in. Everyone.
Well, if we keep going long enough, she can join us after her raid.
It's true. Well,
True.
we don't finish until 10 my time central.
It's only 11 o'clock here. It's fine.
Okay.
But anyway, we'll all play that by ear. So definitely hang out this coming up Wednesday. Show up at 8, watch Vote to Kick, and all that stuff, and then we'll play some more of your world with us. But to continue with the balance stuff, since I didn't get to do a transition, you guys just naturally went into it.
Gasp.
But I know,
God.
I
The
know, it hurts.
error.
But I mean, are there any other glaring things that you guys think need to be addressed? Like everybody's talking about Mesmer.
Wait. Oh, Dale. Dale. We don't need another hour at this point.
Well,
Nerf
quick things that
Thief
you would.
short bow.
Delete thief.
No, not delete thief. Delete thief short bow 5.
Okay.
That's.
I
Don't give
thought
me
you were-
those eyes. I want the rest of the kit to be. I want the rest of the weapon to be useful.
All right, in that case, remove stealth from druid. Put rapid fire on a longer cooldown.
That probably needs to happen. Yeah.
I'm
like 2
joking right
seconds.
now. I'm literally being sarcastic because make thief great again.
No.
Oh,
It's already great.
eh. I don't. I think I fought a few spellbreakers in Warlords World. I think they're actually pretty solid. So leave them alone.
Well, maybe that's what I should try. Some Spellbreaker.
What else? Oh yeah, Mirage. Well, I think you already know what people think of Mirage. So
I'm gonna quote Ghostcrawler and say to the ground.
To the ground.
Right, damn. I think Mirage stole Scourge Spotlight, so don't forget about Scourge. I think that's it. That's all I got. Oh, buff
Build a pirate ship?
engineer to some
Pirate ship meta where
I feel like
Zergs
Oh,
just
I
go
feel like
past each other.
right.
I feel like engineers are a little underwhelming.
Wait, base engineer or
I'm not
like
sure.
the hollow smith?
I'm not sure if it's tied to a spec or not, but it kind of sounds. I haven't really seen much engineer play
Oh, have they fallen off? Because when I stopped, there were a lot of Hollowsmith, and it was frustrating because there was so much going on. It was like, I have no idea what is happening right now.
I don't know about PvE, but my problem with PvP is that if you see a Hollowsmith, you know what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like the second the second Photon Forge turns on, it's just, you know exactly what's going to happen because the combo doesn't change.
Yeah. I think that's it. Maybe like Revenant. Take another look at Revenant, I guess. I haven't really paid much attention to the Rev in a while. Yeah. There you go.
Savage, did you have to copy paste that, or do you actually know how to spell the name of the spear?
Copy paste.
I mean, I
would
know
have
how
to
to
copy
spell
paste it.
Krakatoa perfectly, so it could be like possible.
So many. Oh yeah, I need to finish making that underwater spear gun.
But my particular wishes for the meta, for the balance patch, I don't. My problem with fighting in PvP is there are oftentimes I'm fighting against classes where I don't know what I did wrong.
Right.
And since I've been playing a lot of Soulsborne games,
Soulsborne?
Bloodborne, Dark Souls.
I know, I just haven't heard it in that terminology before.
I want to know what I did wrong, basically.
Right.
Is there needs to be like, what could I have done without encyclopedic knowledge of the game, which I don't have exactly encyclopedic knowledge, but like I said, like reading patch notes, so I kind of have an understanding of stuff. But like, I want, when I see like I complain a lot about Mesmer, it's just like there is so much going on, and I don't know what I can do to do something.
I think only Thief can 1v1 with Sword Dagger.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, my option is to either die or run away, and I can't even run away very well. I don't think that's great.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Well, like in like, this is of course, you know, my personal opinion, but in really well designed combat systems, when you die, you should always be able to be like, okay, I probably should have tried this, or maybe if I had done this, it would have been better, or like have some idea of what you could have done differently. It gets wonky when you're talking about player versus player, because it's harder to predict what people will do, except for in certain circumstances where classes have very limited toolkits or whatever that are useful, and then you know what they're going to do, like what you were saying with Hollowsmith. It's predictable, but like, you should be able to get them out of a fight and be like, oh, my bad, I didn't see that thing, I should have gotten out of it, or I didn't realize they were using that skill, that's what that looks like, I need to look out for that, you know, something like that.
So Arlie's saying get good.
I mean, it's really hard to design. Like, I'm not saying that.
That's one of the things. Like what she's saying is, it's something I try to do at every death or every loss in PvP. Is what could I have done differently? And I have a very difficult time doing that with a class like a Mesmer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
like I literally cannot parse all of the things going on in order to be like, what was the point where I lost? Because the point where I lost was fighting the Mesmer.
Right.
So that's why I have the problem with stealth stomping, because it's just like, where did I
hate that?
Like where did I die? Oh, I got downed by someone who can stealth.
Yep. That's the one thing that I know a lot of people love stealth stomping, but I really, really feel like they need to take that out, because if you're stomping somebody, like, you can start while you're stealth, but it should take you out before you're finished with the stomping. Like, the entire stomp in stealth just rubs me really wrong.
Or like more ways
feels
to
unfair.
relocate. There's what?
Yeah.
2 skills to relocate someone else that is down. There's search and rescue and Shroud 4 in Blood Magic for
Mhm.
Necros.
Right.
I think those are the only 2 relocate ally body.
I think so.
So I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, that's kind of my point. Like, there's so little that you can do to deal with stealth stomping. Like, I think we need more tools to deal with it, or they need to get rid of it. One of the two, because it feels unfair in the current state.
Just taking things away from you, aren't you?
Yes.
So in terms of getting better at PvP, the 2 things I would always say is looking up guides is always a good thing. Even guides that you don't of classes you don't play. That way you kind of get a general understanding of how people play. And then the other thing is watching streams. Watching streams of different players. There's quite a few still around. I know that show stream sponsor. So trying to watch in different actions people take and the rotations, all that stuff. That's how I started out with like League of Legends and with Guild Wars 2. And like that's how I started to understand the game. And then as I played more, I adapted my style. That's pretty much it.
Well, a lot of things I think people are hopeful for of the balance update. So hopefully we get some of that, in a reasonable manner. I know we probably won't get it all, but hopefully, because they kind of have gone the route of doing small increments. That way they don't do too much at once. So hopefully we'll have news for it Tuesday, and we'll definitely talk about it next week. But yeah, this is why I like this dynamic and everybody in chat, because we can all, we can throw things back and forth and respect one another. We have good friendships established.
We're friends.
Friends/lips.
True. Yeah, friends/ships. We were talking about World v World, where the pirate ship meta thing, the ships, the friends. But this past week, another friend/ships article 1 year later came out, and this one was about Glitzy Story, who is a streamer for Guild Wars 2. I believe she is also partnered. But her blog post, they kind of talk about how she met her husband in Guild Wars 2, and like kind of leading up how they both were in the same guild. And I think it was actually, didn't it say like in World? Were they running World v World? I thought they were talking about something about World v World, or maybe it was raiding or something. I don't know. I remember them saying like after a hard fight or something, like her husband, well, not husband at the time, but her, they messaged each other or something and started playing together more so, and kind of went through all that stuff. So it's a nice little it was a nice little story. I think
Glitzy's cool. And
yeah.
I remember she streamed a lot of raiding at the time.
Right.
So she played Ranger builds. Ranger. Anyway, yeah, she's a cool person. Her husband's cool as well. So. It's an interesting story.
Yeah, I definitely would recommend checking it out. It's a nice little love story in the game itself. Maybe they'll make a movie of it.
Where's our story? Do we have to literally post?
I think we have to. I think we have to submit something, but
we have to actually, do something.
We have to be proactive about it. Okay.
You actually have to talk to ArenaNet. Like, we're on the outskirts of. That's the beauty about the internet. We don't need someone's permission to do this kind of stuff, but they're willing to, But yeah, we actually have to do stuff. We're not good at that, apparently. But I don't know. We'll try to turn things around. You never know. We'll see. But yeah, definitely go check that out. It kind of put that into light with all the news of this past week of you know, I kind of want ArenaNet and like especially certain people, like all the staff, but you know, certain people in the staff, like I know this is going back to all this stuff, but like with like, you know, you were talking about Game Breaker for a second, but I was about to also say, like, you know, I remember watching Guildcast with Ruby and all that stuff, so it's like
Right.
hearing all this stuff, like you said. So
Yeah, I think it was like episode.
and Elizabeth later, it's like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah. So anyway, before we get back onto that, and I start crying.
Yeah.
Now I know this was and we kind of talked about this during pre-show. This was kind of like a high tense week. We do have two topics that can be more timeless. Like we can cover them next week, which I don't know. Are you guys up for it, or should we?
I would say next week.
Yeah.
Okay, because this was a
Running
pretty, and I know a lot of people want to go readdress more stuff that we talked about already. So
And
we
we're
can definitely
hitting
do that
2
during
hours,
after show. Oh, geez, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We'll definitely save those for next week. They're kind of, you know, they're not time sensitive or anything like that. They're basically kind of what we always talk about, like rewards and actually something we talked about a little bit on Vote to Kick this week about hype and stuff. So shameless plug.
Hype.
That did not.
But
sound
but yeah, we do have to do. I have to do the shameless plug so we can get that YouTube money that we don't apply for. Going back to how we're not proactive.
There's YouTube money.
So we could buy stuff in the gem store. You know, well, actually, we don't have anything to show off because there was nothing actually new, but stuff returning
Right.
on sale. But but you know, as always, thank you, Dolphin.net. I would say check out Dolphin.net so you can look at the stuff, check out and spend your gems more wisely. But yeah, there was nothing new this week. Returning on sale, and yes, that is on sale, not just for sale. The Distant Lands Mount Adoption Collection, the random one, which is 20% off, and that makes it 1 for 320 gems, 5 for 1,440 gems, and 15 for 4,080 gems. And basically, when you open that, it will give you a random mount skin from any of the mounts of that particular collection.
Right.
And also the Distant Lands Mount Select license, where you get to actually choose which one you want out of there, is 40% off, and that is 720 gems a piece. So, which I mean, for a guaranteed mount, I think that's a pretty good price. That's always where I was sitting at, like the relative. I always felt
Right.
like 800 was like a good relative high number for the
Yeah.
gems or the mounts. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but I might actually pick up a couple just because, you know, just because of that, because it's in that
It's
realm that I always
tempting.
felt as a good price.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely tempting, I think.
I like the the select one. The
Yeah.
Distant Lands Mount one.
Right.
That's more in the like, even though it's like more expensive than the random one, it's more in the price range, which what I would find acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so-
It really depends on I have to look at them obviously and see like if I would want to random, because like this price range is more in my wheelhouse, I guess.
Right. I mean, that's the thing with all of these. Like, it's how much you're willing to spend on the different things. I'm just happy it's not thousands of gems.
Yeah,
Get all 15 for 4,000 gems.
true. It's,
I don't know if I'd spend 4,000 gems on random licenses, but
though that guarantees you all of them, so that doesn't really make it random anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's,
I mean, you got a point, but
yeah. But yeah, if you do like them all, I mean, you can get them all for at 20% off bundle, or if you want a couple, like I said, 720 gems a piece, 40% off. That's I think that's pretty good.
Right.
Some other returning items that are leaving soon, so you'll definitely have to pick them up. The Elite Reinforcement Package for 3,000 gems includes an instant level 80 ticket, 1 character slot, 2 bag slot expansions, which do note that is on a per character basis, 1 bank tab expansion, which will be across the account, and the Central Tyria Unlock Cache, which unlocks all the waypoints in Central Tyria, which I think is only per character. So
Yeah.
When you do that, it counts towards your map completion on that character, right?
I would imagine, because it counts waypoints are a part of map completion. So
Yeah.
it'd be weird if it just was like, well, now you can't get the map
Now
completion.
you
It's like,
have
wait,
to
what?
go around and discover them, even though you've already discovered them.
Yeah.
That would be terrible. Yeah, no, fair point.
I honestly think people underestimate bag slot expansions. I've bought a couple previously.
Mhm.
It's kind of ridiculous how much stuff you get on new maps. So
Right.
if you haven't taken the time to upgrade all your bags to 32 slot, well, it might help.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you have, like,
Because that's the important thing to
worst
note.
way-
Because I know
worst
if
case-
someone's coming from another MMO, like especially like a free to play MMO, when we say a bag, like it's a bag slot expansion, not like, oh, I bought more
To
bag
put a
space.
bag
You get
in.
like, yeah, you get 2 blocks or something, or this is you can put your a bag in. So what are the lowest ones? 4 slot ones, which you could easily get like an 18 slot for pretty cheap,
Mhm.
Yeah, 18 and
but
20
they go up to
supplies
32 now.
are pretty
yeah.
easy to get anymore.
So you do get a sizable amount, and you'll get 2 of those slots in that bundle.
Right.
So yeah, definitely pick that up if maybe you're new to the game. I was thinking of it like maybe you are just hopping into Guild Wars 2. Maybe you bought like, they still have the like collector's edition for like POF where it gives you 4,000 gems. Like this would help, boost your
Yep.
character there.
Mm-hmm.
So also up in the returning in the gem store, but leaving soon, the Raven Helm and Raven Mantle for 400 gems apiece. Definitely a nice looking, if you're kind of going for a more, I would say, spiritual Norn type thing, or any character. But
You can only use it on Norn. Deo has
oh,
spoken.
those would be the days.
New cultural gear.
Yeah.
And now I'm
Gem
imagining like Deo running up to some like Azura using them in Lions
Take it
Arch,
off.
yelling at him like, "You can't wear that!"
No, I wouldn't do that at first. I'd just walk up, tower over it. It'd be casting my shadow. Go, take that off. Actually, that sounds dodgy.
Womp. Wow. That went to a dark place.
Amazing.
Okay, and Chad is saying you can still buy the Ultimate Edition. So, if you did somehow get the Ultimate Edition, you had the 4,000 gems sitting there, that would be a nice thing. And then you have a little time, you have some money extra over to get the Raven Helm and the Raven Mantle. As long as you're a Norn. I'm telling you, I will find you. But also another I think a couple good skins is the Marjorie Axe skin and the Marjorie Dagger skin. And do remember these are all skins, so it's not like an armor piece.
Yeah. Both of the Marjorie, I have both of the Marjorie ones, and those are nice. They're really nice.
They have really cool animations on them too.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh,
remember.
yeah, it's like green and black. And, it's nifty.
Kind
It's very necro-ish.
Yeah, I would say these are very I think I used the dagger skins on my Necro, and then when I was using the axe, it's perfect. It has like a little like green tail coming off of it. And good Necro weapons.
Yes.
Or if you're running maybe like a poison like druid or ranger type thing, could work. But yeah, definitely recommend checking them out. The Peacock Scepter skin for 600 gems. For some reason, I'm not remembering this one.
Me neither.
It's like a feather.
I remember it vaguely.
It's like a feather plume of the back of the peacock, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I don't really use a lot of scepters, so I'm not surprised that I've completely forgotten.
Oh, okay, yeah. It almost looks like a peacock feather duster. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
kind of like looking at. I just googled it real quick, but yeah. I mean, if you're going for that aesthetic, I did not purchase it because maybe I would for Dabio. It'd be like never mind. I'm not gonna get into that.
I was gonna say, I can't believe you didn't get it for Davio. Are you kidding me?
Well, how much is it now? Oh boy. Now I'm interested. But also we have the Blackline keys and scrap package for 900 gems. That is 10 Blackline chest keys and 2 Blackline chest scraps. Also we have the Amethyst Aegis shield skin for 600 gems, the Casimir staff skin for 600 gems, and the Mingus Agony for 600 gems.
Oh my god, are you really bringing that back?
That's just the correct way to say it. I don't know what you're.
It looks like it says Menzies there, but
What?
could be mistaken.
Yeah, you could be mistaken and call it Menzies. It's Mingus.
We spent half an hour talking about that when this skin came out.
I think I missed that episode because, oh my god.
Well, I mean, it is technically the correct way.
Yeah. So, whatever. I'm not getting back into the linguistics of that.
Okay.
Nope.
We can jokingly argue about it during after show because we did talk all about it, but I think the Amethyst Aegis shield was also a community made one in Guild Wars 1 that was carried over, if I'm not mistaken.
That's Guild Wars 1.
So yeah, it's definitely a nice looking skin. I think I have Casimir staff skin. It's pretty cool when it's holstered. It's like kind of collapses, but when you wield it, it actually extends and has like illusionary feathers kind of falling off. It's pretty nice. Definitely would recommend those. But would go great with the Peacock Scepter skin. You have real feathers, and then you have illusionary feathers.
Except for like one's a 2-hand, one's a 1-hand. You can't use.
We got weapon swap. What level are you? I mean, I got weapon
Depending
swap.
on what class, I can't weapon swap.
Oh, apparently that's your problem. Welcome to be a Norn Guardian, the best combination ever. Staff and Scepter. And then you have Focus, Ambrosia, okay. We've been here enough. But yeah, do you guys recommend any of those gem store items as like definitely pick up type thing?
If you're into looking at stuff in the Black Lion chest, the keys and scrap package is a huge value. Actually,
it's 2 Black Lion chest scraps. You get extra if you plan.
That's right, because it's just 450 for 5. I forgot.
Yeah, if you plan on buying like 2 sets of 5, then this is value because you get the extra scraps.
If you normally get them, buy them.
Yeah.
I recommend the Mingus Agony weapon just to anger your guildies, and have this discussion.
Nope.
But yeah, any other thoughts on the gem store? All right.
There is stuff.
Yes. Last up in Community Corner, we talked a little bit about it last week as like a little teaser, but Unity Gaming Organization, they're going to be doing their 5v5 PvP tournament, but now they gave us a date, March 24th, and of course check out Jebro Unity on Twitch, or I think he's tweeting out about it. We told you last week, follow it so you could get the information. Hopefully you did that. But they are doing it in partnership with Maturino on March 24th. Core builds, and once again, they're still slowly trickling out some information. So, core builds. Does that mean you can only use core builds?
Yeah.
I mean, core builds,
going old school.
I like it.
I do too. That's exciting.
Yeah, that's really cool, actually. That's a solid way to sell a tournament.
Turn back time.
Not to mention, like, Jebro's just a fantastic caster in the first place, but this should be really fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. It's like going back in time.
Good old days.
Except, like, core burst guardian is meta. Like, hammer guardian is meta right now. Like some kind of crazy burst damage guardian build, and I'm just like, every time I see a guardian with a hammer in PvP, and then in like
run away
another 2 seconds I'm dead, I'm just looking at him like, I can't parse
what happened.
Go. Oh, I was gonna say. So does that mean no revenants, or does that mean they just can't use any elite specs? Like, is that
You can't use elite specs, basically.
okay? Because I was gonna say, are we going like technically how like WoW would be
I
like,
was gonna say,
vanilla servers?
I feel like it should be no revenants. Like
What? What?
they're not a core thing. They're a hot profession.
Yeah, but they have core talent traits.
No.
No, they didn't say core Guild Wars 2. They said it says core builds.
I know, but it's
Exclusive.
all of
Arlie
the
hates
Revenant
revenants.
isn't core is what I'm saying.
Arlie hates revenants. Exclusive.
Clearly, Arlie just hates revenants.
I love my Revenant.
Then why do you hate it so much?
I'm just saying, technically, they're not core.
They have core traits. But
I think we're quibbling now.
but yeah, definitely check that out. Like I said, that's all the info they gave so far, but definitely follow Jebro Uni on Twitter. That way when he trickles out more information, you'll hear it there first, or we'll definitely probably talk about it.
Have they said when it's supposed to be?
March 24th.
Okay. I missed that.
You were too busy hitting the revenant.
Get out of my
Beat
head.
you to it. But next up, the Snow Crows monthly viability competition. Snow Crow in collaboration with Roka and Nike. They basically are gonna kind of do a competition of the squads will be randomized from all specializations each month, along with a random boss, and basically you have to. They give you a predefined squad to use and a predefined boss to fight, but it'll be random. But yeah, you have to decide on how to arrange your squad, and the builds entirely up to you.
Well, the squad arrangement is set.
Yeah, but I mean, like, are you gonna have so and so be the tank type character, DPS healer type?
Well,
but
on the bright side, you don't have to worry too much about a tank because it's Slothosaur.
Oh.
Sloth calls out his own targets, but
I know. I was gonna say Sloth is one of my favorite fights. Honestly, I love it.
I love this idea. So they're calling for Group 1 to be double Druid, Core NG, Core Ranger, and Scrapper. That's Group 1. Group 2, double Mirage, Spellbreaker, Renegade, Scourge. Your raid must have those two groups in that setup. Stats, gear, weapon, all your choice. It's on Slothosaur. I love this.
That's cool.
I absolutely love this challenge.
Why do you have any idea why they picked that specific setup?
I randomized it.
Yeah, I think they just randomly picked each and.
That's interesting.
It's cool. It's like Ultimate Bravery, but for raids.
It's definitely a fantastic idea, and I honestly think that we might see meta shifts originate because of this.
It could definitely shake it up.
I mean,
well, you have to find the good in a random build if you want to try to take it down, or it will at least show people that you can really try to take anything as long as you can put in if you have the skill to help compensate for it.
Right.
So yeah, I'm definitely excited to see how this turns out and where it'll go. But yeah, definitely check that out. And as always, links will be in the description if you're watching us on YouTube if you want to follow that kind of stuff more closely. Any other thoughts on the Snow Crows monthly competition thing?
Good shit, man.
Yeah. It'll be fun to see results from.
Last up, we have the Vigil Sisters episode 92, Fort Salma's Fate, done by Monica, Games Love and Life, who I think I did see her a couple times here earlier, but does show up regularly in chat on the show, and we talk about her episodes when they come out other times. But yeah, this is basically continuing that story. Looks like they're looks like they're heading to Fort Salma.
I think there's a party at Fort Salma when you get there, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
A party?
It was happy times.
A party. Things are good at Fort Salma. And there will be cake.
This was a triumph. We're
Great.
making a note. Sorry.
I don't want to. I don't like this. I don't want to like ever spoil it, so people would go and watch it. But I will just say I don't think GLaDOS was there. Maybe she was in the corner somewhere. Not sure, but or ArenaNet, maybe you can confirm. But just in case for people in chat, I'll throw the link to her video. But as always, it'll be in the description. But yeah, definitely check it out. I always like watching them as they come out. But any other thoughts?
Yay.
Yay, community content.
Yep.
Yeah, we made it through this one. I know a lot of people were anxious, worried. I'm sure we'll still talk about it. I guess experience from Bluminu and Penelope. I mean, yeah, if you wanna, I think that ruined it. Those are Quagga, not actual players. So, in case people aren't aware, but yeah. So definitely check all that stuff out, and I'd like to thank everybody in chat for for the most part being civil to one another and expressing your opinions, and that's why we always try to strive for. So, thank you everybody, and I think once again, we wish everybody luck at ArenaNet during this crazy. It was crazy for us, like we were saying, but it a billion times more crazy for you guys, So, just breathe. But yeah, Jim, where can they find you?
I can be found on Twitter at MouthAnisMMO. You can also find me live here on twitch.tv/MAADrealms. That's 2 A's in the MAAD. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Vote to Kick, where we talk about things in the gaming industry and whether we should keep or kick them. This week I have Aaron, Guild Wars Monk. We're talking about crafting systems. He hates them. I'm okay with them.
But don't forget about last week. Just go in and vote red. Don't even worry about if you don't want to watch it, just vote red.
Wow.
That's not how this works, Deo. People have to watch the video and then vote. By the way, Deo and I talked about hype.
Which actually is a perfect thing for this episode. How
really.
Hype can damage people.
So go check that out.
Yep. And Age, where can they find you?
Twitch and YouTube at ArenaNet. I streamed World vs. World this week for a little bit before Raid. And I'm going to keep trying to stream regularly again, but it's kind of hard because I'm doing extra work at work. Not that I need like overtime, but it's just like it's a lot more work, and I've fell asleep twice when I got home. So like,
oh jeez,
yeah.
Oh,
that's all I got.
And Robin, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at Arlie82. Yay!
Awesome. And you can find me at simply_Deo on Twitch and Twitter. And last week, while I had plans to try to stream Anthem, only managed to do it on Thursday due to work and stuff like that. I know, tell me about it. But yeah, I plan to try to stream more. I'll probably be on the World v World thing on Wednesday with Malthanis, so definitely swing on by like we said. If you want to join us on YaxBen. If you're not on YaxBen, stay away from me. That's the official rule. I got that straight from Arena. No, I didn't. But yeah, if you're ever just popping at the very end, do stick around. We do a bit of after show where we talk about kind of gaming in general. But I know it seems like people want to kind of continue the conversation about the ArenaNet stuff, which we can do that there. If you want to watch this in full, we do highlight it on Twitch, just twitch.tv/MAADrealms, 2 A's in the MAAD. And if you prefer to watch it on YouTube, if that's your preferred platform, it goes up on Sundays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and that's youtube.com/MAADrealms, 2 A's in the MAAD. And if you want to watch this all in one nice little package, go to our website, maadrealms.com, 2 A's in the MAAD. That's where we actually put the video up. It goes up at Sundays when the YouTube video goes live. But we also have our audio version of the podcast there. I know a lot of people have wanted it. and we are looking at different audio service type things. So maybe down the road when we can maybe give out to kick a version of audio when we have other things audio. Who knows? But it seems like that one might be more likely. Not making any promises, but we will see. But yeah, thank you everybody for popping in, and once again, thank you everybody for being considerate to one another. It allows us to, focus on the story and not the drama. So thank you all, and we'll see everybody next time. Take care and
Good night, friends.